My son loves this song. Always think of baby. Welcome back, Bernie and Sid in the morning. Layla Ali coming up later this hour. Joyce Kaufman next hour. Much of the show today, we've talked about this devastating and sad fire at the Notre Dame Cathedral, 850 years old. And when I first saw the story in the gym yesterday, and I saw this spire come down and the building burning, I really thought it was terrorism. And I got to tell you, I don't care what the French authorities tell me today, I still think it was. Way too many coincidences when you consider this is the Holy Week. France has been under siege for the last couple of weeks, and obviously forever, from these terrorist groups. And all of a sudden, this church, yesterday, goes up in flames. Now, I'm not the only one who thinks that, obviously. The head of the Catholic League, the president, Bill Donohue, kind of brought up the same thought on Fox News yesterday with Neil Cavuto.
I saw it yesterday. I saw on the websites. I saw that happened. And I listened to it. Now, I'm not as skeptical maybe as you. Maybe I am. Who knows? It doesn't even matter.
Well, you got to be one way or the other.
That's right. It doesn't matter. But the point is, the man has a right to his opinion. And based on what's been happening in Paris over the past year, I mean, it's a valid opinion. And for Neil Cavuto to treat him this way was horrific.
It's really the more... I would say, too, we don't know the truth yet. We may never know the truth. But when you line up all the facts, and you'll hear Bill pointed out here momentarily, like we've done this morning, the more rational answer is terrorism. It just is. Here's Bill Donohue on Fox News yesterday.
Catholic League President Bill Donohue joins you right now on the phone. Bill, we don't know what started this.
Well, if it is an accident, it's a monumental tragedy. But forgive me for being suspicious. Just last month, a 17th century church was set on fire in Paris. We've seen tabernacles knocked down. Crosses have been torn down. Statues have been smashed.
We don't know that. We don't know. So if we can avoid what your suspicions might be.
I'm sorry. I mean, when I find out that the Eucharist is being destroyed and excrement is being smeared on crosses.
Wait a minute, Bill,
this is going on now.
We cannot make conjectures about this. So thank you very much. Bill, I'm sorry. Thank you very, very much.
Well, there's the exchange. He's got a brand new book coming out next month. He'll be live in studio with us, but he's kind enough to come on today.
He hung up on him.
Right. Here's Bill Donohue, the president of the Catholic League. Bill, very first question, simply, are you as aggravated and upset with Neil Cavuto as Bernie and I are?
To tell you the truth, I'm more upset about the people at the top. I've known Neil for many years, and he's a good guy. What he did to me yesterday was wrong. When I say it's coming from the top, they did this all day on Fox. I got all kinds of phone calls from friends of mine, people who are at home, people who are retired, and they say this is the MO. This is what Fox is doing. So this is coming from the corporate boys. This is not the same Fox News that it was under Roger Ailes. He would never, ever have put up with this.
No way. It seems to me that because it happened an hour earlier with Shep Smith, it seems to me that Neil Cavuto was afraid that Shepard Smith would yell at him if he didn't cut you off like that, like he just had done to some French guy. And here's the thing. Newsweek, less than a month ago, Newsweek, the headline in this big article, Catholic churches are being desecrated across France, and officials don't know why. I mean, it's legitimate to be suspicious and skeptical like you are, Bill Donohue.
Sid, let me just tell you something.
That was Bernie.
I got the phone call. Oh, Bernie. Just before about 20 minutes before they wanted me on there, so we downloaded something. One of the guys got me this article, the very one you mentioned. So I took some examples of that. Now, I opened it up by saying it could be an accident.
Sure.
But if you have an environment, look, if this was white nationalist, don't you think they'd all be saying, I wonder if somebody's doing this, it's the Klan or whatever? But, oh, my God, we have to be very protective of certain groups of terrorists. And all I'm saying is I don't know that it's terrorism. How do I know? All I'm saying is that if you have a rash of churches being burned, statues being smashed, excrement being thrown on the crucifix, and the Eucharist being desecrated, am I not allowed at least to be suspicious?
No, in fact, again, as I've said all morning long, and this is, Sid, your theory, which is mine too, is more rational than an accident. I mean, look, if they're building a brand new temple on the Upper West Side, okay, and 3 days before Yom Kippur or Rosh Hashanah, there's a huge fire, you think people are going to think it's anti-Semitism or somebody dropped a match?
Well, they certainly should be exploring it. And listen, if it's one thing for the station, for Fox News to say, we're going to be agnostic on this, we're not going to take a position, it's quite another to invite me on as the head of the Catholic League and tell me that my point of view is not going to be accepted.
But why do you think, whether it's Shepard Smith, as Bernie has pointed out this morning, or the clip with Neil Cavuto, Why do you think Fox News is operating that way? Well, what's their motivation?
Because I can tell you, without getting into detail, they've changed. They've changed a lot. A lot of the anchors have been caught on the carpet because they're going too hard on people. This is not the same Fox News that was under Roger Ailes. They're caving, and it's coming from the top.
Yeah, that's clear. And let me ask you this, Bill Donohue, back to the church itself and this rash of vandalism against Catholic churches and other things. What do you think is behind it? What do you suspect? Who's doing this type of stuff?
Well, look, we have two extremes, don't we? On the one hand, we have religious fanatics, most of whom are Muslim. On the other hand, we have militant secularists who are also fanatics. Both of them hate the Catholic Church. For actually, in some cases, some very similar reasons. Now, it could be, is it just a bunch of teenage boys? I don't think so. If it was an accident, as I said before, it's a monumental tragedy, and that's okay. If there hadn't been a pedigree, if there hadn't been a series of incidences all throughout France of churches being burned and statues being smashed, I wouldn't have had any suspicion, quite frankly. But they can't deny me the right to be suspicious when, in fact, this has been the soil upon which this thing happened has been sorted now for a long time. They better own up to it in France.
Could not agree more. Neil Cavuto, I should say, owes you a public apology. He was a jerk. Anyway, let's get back to the church. You keep calling this a monumental disaster. And I don't want to compare events, but like 9/11 was a monumental disaster. 3,000 people died. I mean, at the end of the day, nobody got hurt here. Yes, they did lose the spire, but the inside of the church is fine. Already, guys worth billions of dollars are offering hundreds of millions of dollars to fix this church. So is monumental disaster maybe a bit much?
Well, I mean, listen, I think this is an historic church, and for something like this to take place, by the way, I knew that not everything would be destroyed. That's just the way things are. There's always something that's preserved here. And you know what's interesting as a sidebar? Macron, the prime minister, comes out and says we're going to rebuild it. My God, you can't get 2 cents to build for a Catholic kid to get a map without separation of church and state here, and they're going to build the whole damn thing. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was pretty moving to watch some of the French people in the streets singing Ave Maria as the church burned itself. I mean, there were a lot of French people. I mean, aside from the secularists and the Muslim fanatics who hate Christianity, whatever, it was pretty moving, wasn't it, Bill?
Well, it is, yeah, and I think sometimes people need a little bit of a wake-up call, but this being Holy Week and as well, I think, people's sensitivities are quite high. France has become thoroughly secular, so maybe this is a sign from above that they need to wake up. But if we can't have free speech about this, after all, I didn't blame anybody, I didn't name anybody. I'm talking to you more freely about it because you're giving me the opportunity to have my free speech. But if we can't even speculate because we might offend somebody, but when it comes to white nationalists, every white guy in the country is just one step away from joining the Klan. That's the way the mentality is. It's sickening.
Glenn Beck came out yesterday, and he said, Bill, even if they find out some radical Islamist was working on this church, and he did this purposely, he said, we'll never know because they'll hide it. What do you think about what Glenn Beck said?
Well, I mean, either that or they'll say, well, this is just an anecdote. He's not tied to anybody. I mean, they really have to write it out on people. Look, nobody should be out there bashing Muslims because they're a Muslim. Make it very, very clear. Or Catholic or Jewish or anybody else. But if there are bad guys, and there are in every group, and you have suspicions because of what's been happened in the past, that there's a history there, why can't you at least open up people's minds and say, I wonder if this is it? After all, I looked out the window. I'm right across the street from you guys here on 34th and 7th, and I looked out the window and saw those twin towers go down on that tragic day. And I'm also a veteran. And, so when I hear people like Representative Omar and others going off saying something happened, we don't know what it is, I mean, that's an insult. And I'm tired of these kind of people, yet I can't speak freely about what might be happening with some people on their side.
You're inciting violence, Bill Donohue.
Yeah, I know.
Damn it. Hey, listen, have you heard from Fox News or anybody, or do you expect to hear from anybody to apologize?
No, but I got one radio show after another lined up today, and including I'm going to do a podcast with Laura Ingraham.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, good one. So if they don't apologize, and I don't care what the story is, if it comes out today, they're 1,000% sure that it wasn't arson or terrorism. And by the way, if they say that, Bill, I still may not believe them, but let's say they say that. Was not a terrorist act, was a complete accident. Will you go back on Fox News, or will you now have a self-ban and not go back?
Look, I'm a public figure, and I'm used to this kind of stuff, and so of course I'd go back on. They should apologize. I'm more concerned about the element of free speech being crushed at Fox News. But yeah, I mean, matter of fact, let you guys know, for the 13th year in a row, tomorrow night on South Park at 10:30, I appear in the Easter special as the Pope.
I can't wait for that.
Oh, that
hey,
is
listen,
great.
I hope that Shepard Smith allows Neil Cavuto to reach out and apologize to you. I really do.
I think it's coming from way above those two guys.
You do, huh?
Okay, well.
Hey, by the way, on the way out here, Bill, Friday is Good Friday. Mm-hmm. Friday is the first Pesach Seder. And Friday is my birthday.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. See
You guys
that?
are the best.
No, you're the best. Listen, Bill Donohue speaks his mind. There's no better. We really love you. Thank you, Bill Donohue.
Thank you guys so much.
See you next week with the book, Bill Donohue on Bernie and Sid.